This game is in need of some new updates, and I'm not sure what we're going to be getting, if anything, for this game, for new updates, maybe some patches at some point. Because before we get started, and I'm going to be talking about just future updates and characters, DLC, new tracks, so much more that they can bring to the game, and some changes that they can make for some of these unlockables, because this is one of the most grindiest, I'm gonna just say it, I think this is one of the grindiest racing games I've ever played. And you could throw out there those some kind of comparisons for Mario Kart and games like CTR, but it's different because you have to win. This game is all about winning, and that's what I was talking about for my full character guide. And I really had so much fun making that, and I'm also going to link that going towards the end of the video. So if anyone has any sort of questions with unlocking these characters, I'm willing to help in the comments as well if you're stuck, because I have everything unlocked in the game. And some of these other channels, I'm just going to say it, they don't answer questions, they don't end up really interacting and trying to help the player or the viewer just try to unlock some of these characters when they don't really tell you how to unlock these characters. Because games like Crash Nitro Fuel, when you highlight a locked character, it'll tell you. And even other things like Nickelodeon Kart Racers 2, the other previous game before this game came out. This game is only a few months old because it came out in October from 2022. So it just shows that the game is still fresh. They can bring still, a lot to the game with new characters and more. And it's not even a year old yet, so we got to make it to October before the game becomes 1 year old. 1 year later ever since its release. But it's so much fun to play. Even after unlocking everything, I still play the game even online on the streams, and it's just so much fun just playing around with the different character requests and more. But I just want to start with this, and I think a major issue is some of the glitches, and then just again with the online winning, and some of the characters like Goddard, for example, don't really work properly. So I really like this game for what it is. I think this is the best one of the trilogy, because the first one didn't really have that many characters and didn't really offer too much. They only represented 4 shows: Rugrats, SpongeBob, TMNT, and Hey Arnold. Those are the only 4 shows that was represented in the first game, and that's what made the second game so much better, because it had so much characters and so many other unlockable crew members and more. But I'm just going to talk about and start with characters that could fit. I want to start with future updates that they can do, and one of them in particular is the characters. Let's go to the garage right now, because we're gonna be hanging out in here for a while. I even turned the voices down so they won't just keep on. I know they're gonna repeat themselves sometimes, so I turned the voices down so it wouldn't annoy anybody. So I got so many slime tokens already, and I don't really need them anyway. So this roster, just in general, we're just going to be talking about it. I'm not sure how long this video will be. I'm just going to be talking about this game in regards to the future. If they decide to bring out more, the roster is really good. And I know I'm going to say it, unpopular opinion, JoJo Siwa is a pretty good character. She's the only character that doesn't have voice lines. See what I mean? Future updates, they can probably get voice lines added for JoJo Siwa, because it's a little bit weird how all the other characters from SpongeBob all the way down through Purple Reptar, we're going to get ready to talk about him too. through the characters like him, they all have their own little voice lines, and they say something. But it's so weird how JoJo Siwa didn't really get any voice lines. So she's still, outside of that, she's still a good character, and she was one of the fastest characters in the second game. So and being super helpful in the same mode where the CPU catches up so fast, or what they say, rubber banding. But it's so funny to see them catch up so fast in this game, and they'll really try to catch you, and they just magically have items to stop you just before you cross the finish line. But it's so much fun. But just the roster in general, just talking about it, you got all the Ninja Turtles in here, you got a couple of Laos in here. They could have had other Lao House characters as playable racers. Casey Jones could have fit, but just the roster itself, new changes and other changes that they made when the game came out and when the game was being promoted for the roster for the new character reveals that they did, April ended up ended up getting leaked as a playable racer from the screenshots from the picture of the game, where you can be able to see who's in the game and playable characters. She became a racer and used to be a chief in the second game. So it's as if Shredder and April swap roles, but the difference is April was a chief in the second game while Shredder was a playable racer. But in this game, Shredder is only a crew member. He didn't get the full role swap. So he still falls under as a crew member, but he just didn't get that chief role. So I think Shredder could have been a chief in this game, which I thought he was going to be once I heard he wasn't going to be a playable racer. But he's just a crew member. So Shredder's just not a racer. And you know, some other characters that are missing, for example, let's start talking about Rocco's World, Rocco's Modern Life. Heifer became a chief instead of a racer. But see what I was talking about? Shredder is only a crew member, but now Heifer is a chief. Some of these changes and stuff like that, it would have been cool to still see Heifer as a playable racer. They didn't have to remove him. And we're going to start talking about the Rugrats now. Susie definitely deserves to be a playable racer, so I'm happy that she's in. You got Chucky and Susie as the only Rugrats from the kids from the group when they go on their little adventures. Angelica got swapped, and here they are for Zoe. She's a chief now, but they could have made her a racer, and if they could have took her out instead of being a chief, she could have been like a DLC. But now, speaking of Rugrats, they could have had Tommy. Don't y'all think? And even though he's missing, so everybody can see the characters in the game real quick, Tommy is not even a playable racer. He's not even in the game at all. So let's start talking about him for a little bit. They can come out and start with future updates with not even just new characters. You can start with the iconic Tommy Pickles for the first character for DLC to be added into the game. And then, even if he's not free, they can do paid DLC for the game. Because Zuko, for example, is almost like a paid character, because you can't get him just buying the standard version. You have to pay for Zuko. You have to pay for for this guy. You have to pay for Eastman Raphael, but there's no difference. He's just the same character with a different color. Raphael and Eastman Raphael, and then to go alongside with him, he's not included. He's already free when you get the game. Eastman Raphael and Zuko were locked behind a paywall, so they can do the same thing for Tommy Pickles to profit for these new characters in future updates. And since you only have two of the kids, Chucky and Susie, Tommy can be able to get into the game as a playable racer. He doesn't need to be a crew member. And even if they want to make that change, I would still buy Tommy as a new playable chief and showcase him. But that's new characters. Whether or not they're a playable racer or a crew member, they can add new characters and have others from the show as crew members to keep taking from that world or from that MCU, that particular show, from that universe. So I think Tommy Pickles could definitely be, I can visually see Tommy Pickles being a realistic first DLC character to be represented in this game. What do you guys think? And just when you think DLC, I'm going Tommy Pickles automatically, because he's missing, because he just got kicked to the curb and they just basically sent him to the Shadow Realm. So I don't know if he's gonna ever get out. But just characters like this, for example, just talking about this roster, look at Purple Retard, and just like I finished saying, Eastman has the same stats as the original Raphael. So it made me think that it was going to be worth the purchase for the Turbo Pack. I thought Eastman, of course you wouldn't know that, because they're not going to show you those stats, because you wouldn't know until you bought it unless someone told you that. Raphael has the same stats, and I'm gonna also throw this out there, he has the same stats and the same voice lines as the Eastman Raphael. He's just a different color. He's cool but rude. He's the same character. So if you're interested in getting him, you're just gonna have to get that Turbo Pack or buy the Turbo Edition for the game to get access to Zuko and Eastman Raphael. But Eastman and Purple Raphael didn't really need to be in the game as playable racers. They could have been different alternate costumes or a skin swap, because these are skins. There's no other difference. Skins with no other difference in stats or any sort of voice lines. They could have just made them sound different. If they weren't going to change the stats, they could have made them sound different and say different voice lines to make the character a little bit more unique. So they're just linear. Eastman and Purple Reptar are linear and basically the same. So Reptar, the original Raphael, and the green Reptar, if you want to say that. So those are wastes of character slots. But look, it seems like more can go here. Look. Just under Garfield and Odie, it seems like they definitely could do more. Don't y'all think? 2 different slots, and then you can expand, just like you have right here. Just from some of these rosters for characters. Tommy Pickles could be one of them, and then some other characters we could see. Kimmy, who is also in the second game as a crew member, they could start adding them. Dill, little baby Dill from Rugrats can get in, and then the final characters that they wrapped up the roster for the main base roster for now, hopefully they could do more, was Camper Sponge. It was Squidina, Camper SpongeBob, and then Camper Patrick. They can expand by adding Camper Sandy. What do you guys think about that? Now, I'm gonna just say this, I haven't even seen much of Camp Coral, Camp Coral SpongeBob, or SpongeBob Camp Coral for the episodes. But I did see that they have a Camper Sandy, Camper Mr. Krabs, Plankton, and more. Those could be potential skins, but see the difference in SpongeBob, Patrick, and Camper. Look, this is what I'm talking about. You got SpongeBob and Patrick, and then they got Camper, Patrick, and SpongeBob. See the difference? They don't say the same things. They look different. Their stats are different, and the voice lines are different. That's what they could have did with Eastman and Purple Reptar. They didn't even have to really add them. They could have had some other characters, but I would rather have Camper, SpongeBob, and Patrick over Eastman and Purple Reptar because they're so much more different. They hit all 3 of the checkbox, different voice lines, a difference in stats, and they look different. And then on top of that, look, the descriptions are so different. There's rules, and there's stomach rules. Jumping jellyfish, they have that change too. Yeah, it's a little bit, just a minor change in the description for the information, but for the character description, but it makes them so much more valuable than those 2 other character slots that they wasted. So they can bring more Camper characters to get represented. I think that's a high chance and more realistic. Camper Sandy getting into the game to join the likes of Camper, SpongeBob, and Patrick, and others could fit, considering that they got all 3 of these characters. You got 3 different characters from Camper SpongeBob or Camp Coral. Some other characters that I listed, I put Karai because she's missing. She was a chief in the game. She could be a playable racer. Karai from TMNT. And then I already finished talking about Zuko. You can get another Fire Nation rep like Azula that a lot of people like as well, just as much as Zuko. Some people would pick Zuko, some people would go Azula from the Avatar. Azula's a great pick. The Angry Beavers, this is just a little bit of list. I didn't put too many characters down, but just the Angry Beavers, they can definitely add them for 2 additional characters. They could go right under and see they got Garfield and Odie. They could put Daggett and Norbert as separate characters, similar to how they have Ren and Stimpy. Ren and Stimpy are separate characters. They're not a duo. They can separate Norbert and Daggett as separate DLC to have their own stats. See how Ren specializes in handling and his turbo is good? And then Stimpy has better handling and his acceleration is better. And then he's a little bit faster. But he's going to get that turbo bonus when he hits the boost and gets boosted. Ren is going to be able to catch up slightly, be able to catch up to Stimpy and get up there. So they can do stat differences like that, like they did Ren and Stimpy, for example, just to talk about a duo. So I'm going to mention them in this video. And then other shows that I still can't believe that they don't have, just talking about this roster, because I'm going to start talking about the other changes that they can make for the game in just a little bit. This game, don't y'all think? I'm gonna just throw this out there. Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl has a Wild Thornberrys character represented with Nigel Thornberry. This game doesn't even have a single Wild Thornberrys character in the racer as a playable racer, a chief, or a crew member. You don't have a Wild Thornberrys rep for a crew member or a chief, and there's nothing that has anything to do with Wild Thornberrys that's represented in this game. No paint, no exhaust pipes. They can really get some, they can make like a Wild Thornberrys DLC, don't y'all think? Not even just with Tommy, they can really start getting those characters, and I think he really is a Wild Thornberrys DLC is more likely with Tommy and just the other characters I was talking about with Camp Coral characters getting into the game. But the fact that they don't have a single Wild Thornberrys rep, they got Hey Arnold represented in here with 3 different characters. Maybe they can get 3 reps like Nigel, Eliza, and maybe Donnie. They could do something like that and include them in a pack as an idea. Wild Thornberrys DLC, put them behind a paywall. It doesn't have to be free. People are just going to buy it and play it because there's new characters and new content. And then another show that's missing, you don't have Rocket Power. Rocket Power is just one of the most underrated shows, LT, Gray, and more. They can definitely get DLC like that. And there's some other popular shows that really a lot of people love mentioning, Tough Puppy and Fairly Odd Parents. Timmy Turner's going to be tough to even get anyway. But just like I always say, you don't have to get after those characters right now. That's going to have a little bit of trouble. You're going to be going through some hoops, quite a bit of hoops, and jumping through, climbing a mountain, trying to get access to a character to make those negotiations to get a deal. So you can wait for Timmy Turner for later on in the future. But all the characters I just finished talking about, they definitely can get into the game. Some old school shows, Henry and June for Kablam, to go out and be the lights to join separate duos, like I just mentioned, and see it in Cat Dog race together. They could put Henry and June together, but they can put them separate from Kablam. Well, those are just a couple of characters that we could be able to see. I wanted to talk about that in the mix-up. But now, since I'm still in the garage, I'm gonna start talking about the garage updates that they can do for this game. Just moving on outside of just the characters. Yeah, you got the characters on there, and just as you guys saw, let's go to the online real quick. You have to win to even unlock certain characters and do certain things in this game. They can make garage updates, and I'm gonna go over to the time trial as well. Just talking about this game in general, this is just more future updates that they can do outside of just the characters itself. Change the garage, make changes to the online requirement of having to win. That's too much pressure. And I'm gonna just say this, I'm just gonna say this, let's pick a character. See, this character, I'm not sure if anybody's online right now playing it super early, but we're just gonna pick a particular character that everybody's been trying to get, like Helga, who is exclusively locked behind online wins. So when I say this, you have to win the match. And I'm gonna just say this, when I talk about the pressure, let's just put something on. When I talk about the pressure for this game, we're trying to win. If you don't win, you're not going to get anything. If you don't win, you're not going to unlock any of the characters that are exclusively locked behind the online wins. So I really think that's not fair, and I'm gonna just say this word, that's pressure for the player. They're gonna enjoy the game, of course, but they're not gonna have a good time because you're gonna run into players with all these badges that are not gonna be nice enough to let you win to cross the finish line, because they're gonna keep on trying to dominate you and and just win every single time. So you gotta find players to be able to play with, and so we're just going to keep it on here for a while. It doesn't matter who joins. I'm not going to play an online match, but you see how it's tough to even try the players. You got to match up with these players and go against them online and hope that you can find somebody to race against so you can have a chance. So you got to go through those different hoops and different things. Find players here to start. You got to find players, and then on top of that, once you find players, you better hope that number two, you better hope that they stay in that lobby so you can play against them. And then number three, regardless of where you're at and how many wins you have, You have to win that race. And then on top of that, I'm gonna just slide this one in. It's this hidden clause or this hidden sort of issue with the online where there's placement issues. So you can come in first place and just be slightly close to someone. Right when you're about to cross the finish line, they can beat you when you already literally crossed the finish line before they did. And it'll glitch out like that. And there goes your win, your hard-earned win that you, just say you're going to get someone that's a crazy player, you get lucky enough to stop them by throwing a jellyfish at them or something like that goes directly in the first place, or just slow them down, hit them before they're going to cross to win. And then the game will jip you and basically say that that player beat you or somebody else in that lobby crossed the finish line before you, and it'll be a placement glitch. So you'll get first place and they'll throw you in what, 7th, 8th place, something like that. It happened to me a few times. It's laughable and funny sometimes, but I don't need the wins anymore. But just like when you're trying to get the 18 wins that you need to get this character like Helga and many more, I'm going to get ready to talk about, they can move these characters to the online, well, not the online, let's say online garage. They can move her to the garage to make her available for purchase for the slime tokens. You could be able to pay for these characters and and unlock them using the coins that you have earned from playing the game. They should have did it like that. They should do it like that. And then that's why I said that pressure we're trying to win is not just Helga. She's the only racer or the unlockable racer that you have to, that's hidden behind the online wins. It's paint for 119 wins. I'm not exaggerating. 119 wins for a piece of paint. And then the highest, the Spittle Runner, which is one of the greatest bikes in the game, one of the best that you can get. You need 138 wins for the Spittle Runner bike. That's the last online unlockable. See what I'm talking about? You gotta win. And that's a lot. It's such a grind in this game. I'm not sure if anybody came in. I'm just gonna try to hurry up and go through and get out of the online. But other characters like Grandma, she's locked from the online. It was Lori. And just other characters from memory. Nermal and so many more. The Snorch with 78 wins. It goes on and on. He needs 28. Nermal is 28. He's 78. And then so much other characters go on and on and on. But I already talked about that in the guide for the characters. So you got those certain things that you have to do. Those are online unlockables. That's just only a couple. And you have to win. See nobody that's on. See you get on later in the day thinking someone's playing. You already got to get through that challenge of trying to find players. But some people are fed up with the online. They don't even want to just be waiting to try to match up with players and go against them because they're not going to find anybody. So you'll never end up unlocking Helga if you can't find players. And then on top of that, you'll never end up unlocking these online exclusive characters as locked unless you win. So you find people and you're constantly losing, you're not going to get those characters that you're aiming for and those online rewards. And then on top of that, there's other things that you have to do in the game. Make those garage changes, make the garage updates. Arena mode is grindy too, because you have to play a significant amount of arena wins. You can't just play it. You gotta win in the arena mode to get the original Raphael, but you wouldn't know how to unlock him unless someone told you that. So it's just those different surprises and different things that goes on. But at least in the challenges, you'll be able to see what you're getting, if anything, when you complete them. You got the bosses and some of those characters, but you want to explore the different modes and even the time trial characters like Donatello. Let's just pick something. I just turned their voices off. Let's just do like a solo race or something like that. You have to beat these guys and beat these ghosts. I already did all the time trials, but you have to beat the ghosts and race against them. See that? You gotta win. You gotta win against these ghosts to be able to get the legendary Donatello, one of the iconic characters and one of my favorites in the game. You have to win against those ghosts to win against those ghosts in the time trial to unlock Donatello. So Donatello can get moved. Helga can get moved to the garage, and all those other unlockable characters to make them for purchase, to make the game a little bit easier and less grindy for the players, so they have a chance to unlock these characters. And I already just finished talking about the arena. You have to play a significant amount, and there's other hidden characters like Judy Neutron, for example, where you need over 100 plus, or basically 90 and more characters to really get a chance to unlock the things that you're looking for. And you have to win the slime scrambles. You're gonna be playing this for a while just to be trying to unlock stuff. I like that they put them locked behind things, but I didn't think it would be this brutal. It's really brutally grinding, and then just grindy, and then when you get online, you gotta just go through so much just to try to win to get some of those said characters. Thankfully, there's not all the other racers are unlockable or locked behind the online. They only put 1, but 18 wins is a good amount and a little bit of a tough challenge for people just trying to get a good amount of wins. People are just not going to let you win, so they can definitely just upgrade and update with the garage. Come out with some garage updates to make those changes so the characters are not grindy, and then we can use our coins to be able to unlock all those characters that's in the roster. I'm just go to the garage. So, and I'm gonna just throw this out there. I don't know if they're gonna make those changes though. For those, they might just settle and let it stay as it is to have these characters locked, and you'll never be able to get them unless you can win those matches, unless you can grind out those grind the arena mode. Try to have a chance to beat as many ghosts as you can. You can even try to beat your own ghosts, but that makes it even more challenging. But just characters like Chucky and the Toy Palace for the time trials, that was such a tough one because he was so fast, and I had the most trouble with that one. But I got lucky to end up figuring out the pattern and drifting and end up winning with certain other characters to mix it up. But those characters can be in the garage, and I think a lot of people will agree. And then especially with the online unlockables, you can play the game offline, but away from the online to get the characters, but it's just so much that you have to do. So I'm hoping that they come out with those kind of updates, and I think they can do so much more because the game is still brand new, because it's only been out for a few months. So hopefully they can make those changes soon at some point. Maybe we'll get some kind of new patch, because they have so many different things to fix. In closing, like Goddard, who's glitched out, and then some of these characters are glitched out, like Gloria gives a random boost item. She only ends up giving me random only slime tokens. It's inconsistent. And then it's just like, there's no point in using this cheat, because you're just going to keep getting slime tokens. You're supposed to be getting random boost items. So I'm hoping that they really make those changes to the game itself and fix these characters, because he's basically broken. He's unplayable right now. He's just a magnet. Let's read his description. Attracts nearby racers and hits them. He's just gonna only constantly pull them in. Goddard is just a magnet. It just be having a racer collide and run into you over and over, boom, 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 over and over. That's just what he is, and they gotta fix him. And ever since that recent update, it's been a lot of problems with some of these characters. Some of them, not all of them, but just some of them. So hopefully we get some kind of update soon, and maybe some new changes.